Welcome to Fear Files. Tonight, we descend into the depths of terror with a chilling tale that will leave you breathless. Imagine renovating your basement only to unearth an ancient door leading to an unfathomable underground world. A sprawling labyrinth of forgotten civilizations, inhabited by ancient beings and haunted by vengeful spirits, awaits. Brace yourself as we embark on a journey through the abyss, where every shadow conceals a new horror and every discovery could be your last. Dare to explore the unknown. Let's uncover the secrets hidden beneath our feet.
Harold Thompson had always been fascinated by the past. His modest Victorian house on the outskirts of Millfield had become a sanctuary for his obsession with local folklore and antiques. On this particular afternoon, the house seemed even more oppressive than usual, the air thick with dust and the scent of old wood. Harold was in the basement, carefully cataloging a collection of forgotten items from a recent estate sale. The basement, with its exposed brick walls and dim lighting, was cluttered with relics from bygone eras. Shelves bowed under the weight of musty books and cracked photo frames, while a tattered armchair, once elegant, now stood neglected in the corner. Harold was working methodically, lifting boxes and moving furniture, when his hand brushed against a particularly old, decaying shelf. As he adjusted it, a loud crash reverberated through the room. Startled, Harold turned to see that the shelf had fallen, revealing a small, almost imperceptible door hidden behind it. His heart raced with a mixture of dread and excitement. It was a door he had never seen before, obscured by years of accumulated dust and cobwebs. The door was ancient, its iron surface adorned with cryptic symbols that seemed to pulse faintly in the dim light. Driven by curiosity and his unyielding passion for uncovering secrets, Harold approached the door. His fingers trembled as he reached for the handle, which was cold and heavy in his grasp. With a deep breath, he turned it, and the door creaked open to reveal a narrow staircase leading downward into an inky blackness. The descent into the unknown was more daunting than Harold had anticipated. The staircase was steep, the steps uneven and worn. Each step echoed ominously in the confined space, the sound swallowed by the darkness that seemed to stretch endlessly below. A chill swept over him as he reached the bottom, where the stairs opened into a vast, cavernous space. The labyrinth beneath the house was unlike anything Harold had ever imagined. The walls were made of rough-hewn stone, covered in strange glowing symbols that seemed to shift and writhe as he moved. The air was thick with the scent of damp earth and decay, and the only source of light came from flickering torches embedded in the walls. Shadows danced across the floor, creating unsettling shapes that seemed to watch his every move. As Harold ventured further into the labyrinth, he was struck by its sheer size. The tunnel stretched out in every direction, twisting and turning in a bewildering maze. He quickly realized that navigating this place would be no easy feat. The path he had taken seemed to close behind him, leaving him with a growing sense of claustrophobia. The first encounter with the labyrinth's inhabitants came sooner than Harold had hoped. As he turned a corner, he was met by a grotesque creature that seemed to emerge from the shadows. It was a misshapen amalgamation of human and beast, with gaunt limbs and eyes that glowed with an unnatural light. The creature let out a bone-chilling howl that reverberated through the tunnel, causing Harold's heart to pound in his chest. Desperation fueled his escape as he ran, his footsteps echoing through the labyrinth's corridors. He stumbled through winding passages, his breathing ragged as he fought to maintain his composure. The creature's howl grew fainter, but the sense of being pursued never left him. In the labyrinth, Harold encountered other horrors, mummified remains of previous victims, their faces frozen in expressions of terror. Distorted whispers echoed through the tunnels, taunting him with cryptic messages about the labyrinth's true nature. The deeper he ventured, the more he realized that this place was a living, malevolent entity, feeding on fear and despair. Days passed, or at least Harold believed they did. Time was an elusive concept in the labyrinth. The once familiar corridors had become a disorienting blur of shadows and echoes. His provisions had dwindled, and his energy was waning. The labyrinth seemed to sense his growing weakness, and the horrors it presented became increasingly relentless. In one particularly dark chamber, Harold encountered a figure shrouded in shadow. It was the Warden, an ancient entity that seemed to embody the darkness of the labyrinth itself. Its presence was suffocating, and Harold felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over him. The Warden spoke in a voice that was both ancient and timeless, filled with malice and contempt. It taunted Harold with visions of his own fears and insecurities, manipulating his mind to break his spirit. The Warden revealed that it had been the architect of the labyrinth's twisted reality, a guardian of forbidden knowledge and ancient evil. Driven to the brink of madness, Harold struggled to find a way out. His sense of direction had become almost non-existent, and the labyrinth seemed to shift and change around him. Every turn brought new terrors and challenges, each more horrifying than the last. The walls seemed to close in on him, and the darkness pressed heavily against his sanity. In a final desperate attempt, Harold discovered an old tome within the labyrinth's depths. It was a grimoire filled with arcane symbols and rituals. With the last of his strength, he deciphered a passage that hinted at a possible escape. The ritual required him to confront the Warden directly and sever its hold over the labyrinth. The confrontation with the Warden was a harrowing experience. The chamber where they met was a vast, nightmarish expanse filled with shifting shadows and howling winds. The Warden's form was ever-changing, a dark cloud of malevolent energy that sought to consume Harold. Armed with the knowledge from the grimoire, Harold faced the entity with a mixture of fear and determination. The ritual was perilous, requiring Harold to confront his deepest fears and doubts. As he chanted the incantations, the labyrinth seemed to fight back, throwing every possible horror at him. The walls trembled and the ground shook, but Harold pressed on, driven by the hope of escape. In the end, the ritual succeeded, and the Warden's power began to wane. The labyrinth started to collapse in on itself, its twisted corridors disintegrating into chaos. Harold stumbled through the crumbling maze, guided by the faintest glimmer of hope. Finally, he emerged from the basement door, gasping for air as he collapsed on the cold floor of his home. The house was eerily silent, and the basement was once again just a room filled with forgotten relics. The hidden door and the labyrinth were gone, leaving only a lingering sense of dread and a profound sense of relief. Harold had survived, but he was forever changed. The horrors he had faced left deep scars, both physical and psychological. The labyrinth beneath the house had been a dark reflection of his own fears, a reminder of the dangers that lay hidden in the shadows of the past. As he looked around his home, now bathed in the light of a new dawn, Harold knew that the darkness he had faced would never truly leave him. The labyrinth was gone, but its memory would remain etched in his mind, a haunting reminder of the horrors that lay beneath the surface. The story ends with Harold's reflective gaze upon the once mysterious basement. Though the door is gone, the weight of his experience remains, a shadow that lingers in the corners of his life. The labyrinth may have been vanquished, but its legacy endures, a dark reminder of the unknown that lies beneath. Edward Blake had spent his life unraveling the mysteries of history, but nothing had prepared him for the discovery he made in the basement of his crumbling Victorian home. As he cleaned out the basement, his hand brushed against a hidden door, concealed behind a decaying wall. The door was covered in ancient glyphs that seemed to writhe in the dim light of the basement. Intrigued and apprehensive, Edward pried it open, revealing a dark passage leading downward. The staircase descended into an abyss, the air growing colder with each step. Edward's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls as he ventured into the unknown. The staircase opened into a vast underground city, its streets eerily silent and frozen in time. The city was a labyrinth of crumbling buildings and overgrown vegetation, bathed in a perpetual twilight that lent the surroundings an otherworldly glow. As Edward explored the city, he felt a growing sense of unease. The silence was punctuated by faint whispers and the occasional flicker of movement in the shadows. The city's architecture was a haunting mix of ancient and Gothic styles, with grotesque statues and dark symbols etched into the stone. The air was heavy with a palpable sense of dread. The first encounter with the city's ghosts came unexpectedly. As Edward wandered through a desolate street, he saw figures appearing and disappearing at the edge of his vision. Their faces were twisted in expressions of anguish, and their whispers carried tales of sorrow and betrayal. Edward's heart raced as he realized these were the restless spirits of the city's former inhabitants. Determined to understand the source of their torment, Edward scoured the city for clues. He discovered old journals and artifacts that revealed the city's dark past. The city had once been a refuge for outcasts and those seeking to escape persecution. However, it had become a site of dark rituals and unholy practices, culminating in a catastrophic event that had doomed its inhabitants to an eternity of suffering. The more Edward uncovered, the more the spirits seemed to grow agitated. Lady Eveline Blackwood, a spectral figure of regal bearing and malevolent intent, emerged as the primary antagonist. Her presence was suffocating, and she seemed to command the spirits with an iron will. Her tragic fate was tied to the city's dark rituals, and her spirit sought vengeance against those who had wronged her. Edward's quest became a race against time. The spirit's hostility grew more intense, and the city itself seemed to shift and distort, becoming an even more dangerous maze. Edward encountered various supernatural entities, each more horrifying than the last. He was constantly pursued by vengeful spirits and faced numerous traps set by the malevolent forces that controlled the city. In his search for a solution, Edward found an ancient tome that detailed a ritual to appease the spirits and bring peace to the cursed city. The ritual required confronting Lady Eveline directly and unraveling the true nature of the dark forces that had bound the city in eternal torment. With the knowledge from the tome, Edward prepared for the ultimate confrontation. The final encounter with Lady Eveline took place in a vast, shadowy chamber where the air was thick with the scent of decay and despair. The confrontation was a harrowing experience, with Lady Eveline's spectral form shifting and writhing as she unleashed her wrath upon Edward. The ritual was fraught with peril, as Edward had to confront his own fears and regrets while performing the incantations. Despite the overwhelming odds, Edward succeeded in completing the ritual. The city began to collapse into chaos, its twisted corridors and haunted streets disintegrating. The spirit's anguish reached a crescendo before slowly fading away, their torment finally alleviated. Emerging from the basement, Edward collapsed on the cold floor of his home, gasping for breath. The city and its spirits were gone, leaving only a lingering sense of dread and the echo of past horrors. The Victorian house was silent once more, but the memory of the underground city and its restless inhabitants remained etched in Edward's mind. As he looked around his home, now bathed in the light of a new dawn, Edward knew that the darkness he had faced would never fully leave him. The City of Shadows had been vanquished, but its legacy would endure as a haunting reminder of the consequences of delving into the darkest corners of history. The story ends with Edward's reflective gaze upon the now quiet basement. Though the spirits have been appeased and the city's secrets unveiled, the weight of his experience remains. The haunting presence of the underground city is gone, but its shadow lingers, a dark testament to the mysteries that lie beneath the surface. Jonathan Reed had always been driven by a relentless pursuit of knowledge, a passion that had guided him through years of archaeological digs and historical research. His Victorian home, a sprawling relic of the 19th century, had been a sanctuary for his work, a place where he could retreat from the world and immerse himself in his studies. Little did he know that his latest renovation project would lead him to a discovery beyond his wildest imaginings. The basement of Jonathan's home had long been a neglected space, filled with forgotten relics and dusty corners. As he began clearing out the clutter, he stumbled upon an ancient door embedded in the floor. The door was covered in intricate carvings, its surface etched with glyphs that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy. Jonathan's heart raced with anticipation as he carefully pried the door open, revealing a narrow staircase that descended into darkness. With a mixture of excitement and apprehension, Jonathan descended the staircase, the air growing colder with each step. His flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the walls. The staircase opened into a vast underground world, a sprawling expanse of towering caverns and bioluminescent flora that illuminated the subterranean landscape with an ethereal glow. Jonathan's initial awe at the subterranean realm was soon tempered by a sense of unease. The caverns were alive with strange, luminescent creatures that flitted through the darkness, and the air was filled with an oppressive silence that seemed to press in on him from all sides. As he explored further, he encountered the remnants of a forgotten civilization, its ruins a blend of architectural marvels and eerie decay. Hieroglyphs and artifacts hinted at a history that predated human civilization, suggesting a once great empire that had vanished into the depths of time. The deeper Jonathan ventured, the more he realized that the underground world was not as desolate as it seemed. He encountered enigmatic beings, some benign and curious, others malevolent and dangerous. The subterranean realm was a place of wonder and terror, where ancient secrets lay hidden among the shadows. Jonathan's exploration revealed a tapestry of life and death, with each discovery adding to the sense of mystery and dread. Among the ancient beings Jonathan encountered was Eldrick the Forgotten, a primordial entity of immense power and malevolence. Eldrick's presence was a dark shadow over the subterranean world, and his motives were shrouded in secrecy. As Jonathan delved into the city's history, he learned that Eldrick had been a ruler of the underground realm, his reign marked by dark rituals and malevolent acts. The entity had been banished long ago for his actions, but now he sought to return to the surface and reclaim his lost dominion. Jonathan's quest became a race against time as Eldrick's influence grew stronger and his plans unfolded. The subterranean world was filled with dangers, from treacherous tunnels to hostile beings that sought to prevent Jonathan from uncovering the truth. The ancient city seemed to come alive with a sense of malevolence, its very walls whispering of forgotten sorrows and dark secrets. In his search for answers, Jonathan encountered a variety of subterranean inhabitants. Some offered assistance and guidance, sharing knowledge about the city's history and the nature of its inhabitants. Others were more sinister, their motives hidden behind masks of civility and charm. Jonathan's interactions with these beings were fraught with tension, as he navigated a world where trust was a rare commodity and betrayal was a constant threat. One of Jonathan's most significant discoveries was an ancient tome, a relic of the city's past that detailed a ritual to appease the spirits and restore balance to the subterranean realm. The tome revealed that Eldrick's return to power was linked to a catastrophic event that had occurred centuries ago. The ritual was the key to stopping Eldrick and preventing the destruction of both the underground realm and the world above. Armed with this knowledge, Jonathan prepared for a final confrontation with Eldrick. The battle was a harrowing experience, as Eldric's dark power seemed almost insurmountable. The primordial entity's wrath was a force of nature, and Jonathan found himself pushed to the limits of his strength and resolve. The fight was not just a physical struggle, but a battle of wills, as Jonathan confronted his own fears and doubts while performing the ritual. The climax of the story was a dramatic and intense confrontation, with the fate of both worlds hanging in the balance. Jonathan's bravery and resourcefulness were put to the ultimate test, as he fought to thwart Eldric's plans and escape the abyss below. The final moments of the battle were marked by a sense of desperation and determination, as Jonathan faced the full fury of Eldric's malevolence. In the end, Jonathan succeeded in defeating Eldric and sealing the hidden door, preventing the ancient being from reaching the surface. The subterranean world fell silent once more, its mysteries and dangers hidden from the world above. Jonathan emerged from the basement, forever changed by his experience and the secrets he had uncovered. As he looked back at the now quiet basement, Jonathan reflected on the journey he had undertaken and the lessons he had learned. The subterranean world had revealed both the wonders and horrors of the unknown, and its legacy would remain a haunting reminder of the perils of seeking out hidden truths. Jonathan's discovery had come at a great cost, but it had also brought a deeper understanding of the world and his place within it. The story concluded with Jonathan's reflective gaze upon the basement, now a room of forgotten relics. Though the subterranean world was sealed away, its legacy endured as a dark testament to the mysteries that lie beneath the surface and the eternal quest for knowledge. The abyss below had been a place of both awe and terror, a realm where ancient secrets and primordial forces intertwined to create a narrative of discovery and dread.
Thank you for joining us on this spine-chilling journey into the abyss. If you've been captivated by the horrors lurking in the depths, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more terrifying tales from Fear Files. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. What do you think lies beneath our world? Until next time, keep your lights on and your curiosity alive. The darkness may hold secrets, but remember, some doors are better left unopened. Stay scared, and we'll see you in the next nightmare.